Hey guys, Matt here from PlaiOfficial, and today I'm going to be doing the first add-on guide that I've done in quite a long time. Today we're going to be looking at power auras. A lot of people have been asking about this, so I thought it'd be best to make a video on it. Now you're going to want to start by downloading the add-on. There's been an unofficial update for it for Mr. Pandaria as the main version of power auras doesn't actually work at the moment. We're waiting for an update, no idea how long that's going to be. So there's a link in the description, or you can see it on screen now. Okay, after you've actually downloaded your Power Auras add-on and enabled it, etc., you're going to want to type /POWA, hit enter, and this will bring up the Power Auras interface. As you can see, I've already got a few Power Auras set up, and right now I'm just going to show you a couple of them. So if I go off that, you can see just here, right in the middle of my screen, just underneath my character, I've got just a couple of icons. These are basically my power auras I've got set up at the moment. So I've got one for renewing mist. When I use my renewing mist, it shows the cooldown of renewing mist. Obviously when that comes off cooldown, then the icon will simply appear again, like so. The same with my Thunder Focus T. Whenever I use my Thunder Focus T, there we go, and when the cooldown gets below 10 seconds, then another little timer will come up on that. So that's quite handy. Now Power Auras is a really customizable add-on, and you're probably thinking there's a bit of a blank space just here. Well no, I'll show you what they do right now. If you're a Mistweaver monk, basically when we do 2 blackout kicks for 30 seconds we gain a buff that makes our melee attacks do healing. And as you can see here, it's showing me, now I've got those 2 stacks on, it's showing me the icon with how long they have left. Also, from casting a Tiger Palm, it reduces our opponent's armor. That stacks 3 times, so for 1 stack I've got small icon, 2 stacks larger icon, 3 stacks it shows me the full sized icon with a timer underneath it. Again, this is really easy to set up. And the green bar around the edge, that is simply just like a quick, easy to look at mana bar. Okay, as my mana goes down, I'll just spam my mana out as fast as I possibly can now. Here we go. Bit faster, there we go. It's just turned, yellowy colour. That's just to show me that my mana's getting low. And then if you can see the red bar coming in behind there, that's basically to show that I'm below 30% mana. Now, you've seen what Power Auras can do, and you've seen that it can be a very powerful add-on. So I'm going to start off by showing you how to use just the basics of Power Auras. So we're going to start off by creating a new aura, okay? And the first thing you're probably wondering is, shit, there's absolutely fuckloads of options here. Most of them you don't even need to touch, don't worry. They're all pretty damn simple. Okay, so for a start we've got the texture, so we can look at different textures here if they're gonna decide to load. Anyway, look, the first ones seem to have loaded. Anyway, pretty much you can just go along here and choose a different texture or a different image basically. Let's get rid of that because that's in the way at the moment, isn't it? Then we can go on glow. Glow will cause the darkest colours to become transparent, so it pretty much depends if you want your icon to be transparent or not transparent. That's just completely up to you. I'll choose transparent. We can go on wild textures and we get a load more textures. As you can see, a lot of these are actually textures that are currently used within the game at the moment, so you'll probably be familiar with a lot of these. And then you can import your custom textures with like a path to a file, or you can type in spell ID, etc. Or you can even just type in a load of text and just use a font as a trigger. Okay, next up, obviously we have the opacity. The opacity is simply how much you can see. As you can see, if I turn it down, it's barely visible. All the way up, it's like completely in your face visible. This green bar won't really show while the texture's up, so just ignore the green box around it. Okay, the size is obviously how big it is. You can have it massive if you're blind, or you can have it mini if you want. I usually like them quite small. And obviously you've got position. You can also drag it around your screen, which I generally find easier. Okay, next we're going to want to be looking at what's activating or deactivating this aura. As you can see, there's so many things here. There's buff, so you can use it off a buff, like my like the ones where I do blackout, kick and tiger's palm, they're all buff activated. There's things like combo points, buff type, when you've got a debuff you can show them, health, mana. Okay, so I'm going to start off by showing you how to make a cooldown one, such as the one for my Thunder Focus T or my Renewing Mist spell cooldown. So we obviously want to go into open up power auras and create a new one, as I've just done. I've then set it to glow, downsized it slightly, and I'm going to have the I'll pick where that goes in a minute, but for now I'm going to use it to show the cooldown of revival. So I'm going to have to go on spell cooldown. This also does work for items, so you can type in a trinket name and then revival. So that should theoretically work. Now it hasn't yet updated the image, it should update next time we reload it, so if we do that now, yep, there we go. So it's now showing when our revival is actually ready. Okay, so now after we use our revival, you might want a timer on it. So all we're going to have to do here is on these you'll see there's some little drop down boxes, you know, just here. We can just simply click on timer and tick show. Okay, then you can see the timer will appear dead in the middle of your screen. I generally like to tick, well, untick show hundredths, because I feel it's a bit spammy. You don't really need it. And then, well, you can simply position it, you can scale it so it's big or small. I'm going to have it just about size 1, I think, yeah, just so it's like normal. And then obviously you can do the opacity, and you can, you know, do the duration. So I'm going to want my icon, I think, about here, just for test purposes. I can then have my icon, well, the timer I'm going to have the timer just above it. You can select the timer to lock to it. If we look here, look, you can go top left and it'll put it in top left, or you can go top. Well, that would have been easier, wouldn't it? So I can just put it on top. As you can see, you can just use any of these, or you can move it around yourself. Okay, then I'm going to want to add a bit of an animation to it, just so it's not just when it goes in and out. So begin animation, I like fade in, and main animation, well, you can have it like electric or something, which basically just means it will look a bit electric-y kind of thing. You can have pulse, which is, look, you can just see it here, it's going bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. This time I'm going to use pulse. I'm actually going to make that a little bit smaller because it's a bit too big at the moment. You will realise that whenever you change an option after adding an animation, that it actually fades out and does that animation. So that can get slightly annoying. So if you keep wanting to change things, I'd suggest removing the animation until you finish. And then end animation, I'm just going to want fade out, so it's nice and smooth. Okay, then we can pick the animation speed, the animation duration. After this, if I want to, I can add a sound. I don't actually like many sounds coming from my WoW, so I'm going to leave that. But if you do want a sound or some sort of alert, you can add a sound onto that. So let's go ahead and test this out then. So as you can see, it's just faded in, it's doing its little pulsey bit and bob now. So if I use revival, and the cooldown is showing just above it, as you can see it's 3 minutes at the moment. As that cooldown gets lower, it will begin to show seconds until it's obviously counted down to 1 second. And then the animation should fade in and start pulsing again, which we will check in a minute. Now as you can see, we've waited a couple of minutes and our revival cooldown just here is showing in seconds now. So that's just to prove that that's working fine. And just here we can see it fade back in and start pulsing again. And my mixed scrolling combat text just came up with revival is ready, which is lovely. So earlier I showed you my stacking buff from Blackout Kick. Now as you can see, it's just here, you know, it's simple, it's easy to use. And this will work with things such as Predator's Swiftness and even Maelstrom Weapon if you're a elemental shaman. So this will probably be pretty helpful for you guys. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. Now this is slightly more complicated and it will take a bit more time. So for a start, we're going to want to make the one for the first stack. I will make a new one here, and I'm going to want this one to be, well, I'm going to want it on glow so it's slightly see-through. I will set it to buff as the activation, and the stack we're going to have equals 1. Okay, you can't just put one stack in there. It, as you can see, it says enter name of the operator, little tooltip that comes up. You have to, well, just look at that for examples, only those will work. And then we're going to want the, well, you're going to have the buff name, so I will look at that here. So the buff name is Tiger Power. So let's, oh, we've already got Power Auras open. So we're going to put Tiger Power. So obviously for a chamois this would be Maelstrom weapon you'd be putting in there, wouldn't it? Okay, and then we're going to want to be ticking use zone texture, and obviously, as I was saying, make it pretty small. So I'm just going to make it slightly bigger just so you can all see it. So I put it on 20% size. I think I'd usually have it on about 10 or something. So the animation I'm going to want as fade in. Main animation static, I don't want it flashing too much. Or I could have it as something like, well, could have it bubble, I guess. So it's like showing me that I've only got one stack. And then end animation fade out. So it's fading in, it's doing its little bubbly thingy, and then it's fading back out. I don't want a timer, I don't need any stacks or sounds on it. You may choose to have those, but I personally, you know, don't really want those for this one. Okay, and there's our first stack set up. Now, the more stacks of something you have, you will need to have more than one power aura. So what we're going to have to do now is highlight this one that we just created, and we're going to have to press copy. Now you'll see there are tons of pages down the side that light up. I would suggest just clicking page 1. If you already have too many power auras, you may have to put them on another page or delete some. So then we've got two lots of this. Well, pretty much Tiger Power debuff thing that we've just made. Okay, we're then going to want to leave all of these things exactly the same apart from a couple. This one is going to be for when I've got 2 stacks, so I'm going to set the stacks to 2. I'm going to leave pretty much everything else the same. I'm going to make it slightly bigger, just so we can see it easily. So as you can see, it's now bigger, and again it's flashing away. Okay, we are then going to need to copy it a third time, so we're going to highlight that one again, press copy, click the page you want it on again. The global effects, by the way, are for, well, they work across all of your characters. So if you are wanting, if you have say 3 monks and you want this on every monk, you can go on global and copy it into one of those, and it will then work on all of your monks. Okay, we are then going to open this third one and make it again slightly bigger, so it's pretty damn massive now. And I no longer want the bubble animation on it, I want it static, I want it just to sit there. And the activation is going to be for 3 stacks. So we're going to change the activation to 3 stacks. Okay, let's test this out now, shall we? So there's our first stack. There's the second stack. And the third stack is there, which is pretty damn huge. Now, you don't have to have the original icon for it, you can have other icons. So all we need to do is to change it to a different texture. Is obviously we open our Tiger Power debuff by right clicking on it. We then are going to untick use zone texture, and we're going to set one of these textures. Well, pretty much any texture you want. So I'm going to tick WoW textures, and I might have, I think I'm going to have, let's look for something quite nice. So I'm going to have this, and I could have it, I don't know. Actually, that's not really appropriate, is it? That's not really a very good texture to pick. I'm going to have this one, okay? I'm going to have it running just across the top of my character screen, just there. So, you know, that's going to be really visible when that procs. So we'll be able to see that really easily. And, well, the deformation, we are then going to put it into width a bit more, so it's slightly longer. And the size, maybe upscale it a tad. There we go. So it's looking more like one of the standard WoW procky things that come up now. Okay. Well, let's go get our 3 stacks again. So there's our first stack, second, and third. It comes up with our lovely visual bar just there. What I do like to do is when I had Power Torrent on my weapon, and there's a new version of that now, I'm not sure of the name of it though, I like to put one of, well, this exact texture under my cast bar. This pretty much let me know that all of my spells during this were going to have an increased amount of healing done by them, so I pretty much just knew that I could be a bit more spammy and my souls would be more efficient during that, so this is very helpful for that as well. But as you can see, there's so many options with power auras that it'd take me years to go through every single one. You're just really going to have to experiment yourself. Hopefully you've learnt the basics from this guide, but if you do need any further help, don't hesitate to post a comment down below or just inbox me on my channel and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I always try and reply to as many comments as possible. But don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe guys, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.